Welcome to the Gus Alva Perspective, a videocast that elevates the notion of abundance and gratitude over the mindset of fear and scarcity. This videocast today is going to be one that is very practical in nature. I oftentimes get asked as to how it is that we can accomplish different things that we've set before ourselves, and sometimes people just don't get things started. So the thematic today is getting started or moving past the inertia. Have you ever faced a task that seemed challenging or you weren't keen on getting started for whatever reason? Well, moving past inertia can be challenging, but it's a crucial step in achieving the goals that we set for ourselves. This videocast is going to explore some practical tips to help overcome that initial resistance and get into action. It's easy to say, get this done. It's another to figure out how to go about doing that. Oftentimes, patients will complain and say, you know what, it's easy for you to say that, but how do I get it done? And so I thought I would utilize this videocast as an example in which to take a look at a step-by-step approach in how we might be able to get things going and move past that inertia. First, it's important to start with a small task. A small task is a manageable task and can be completed quickly. When we do something, the sense of accomplishment from finishing something will provide that momentum necessary to tackle more significant tasks. And remember, it's a lot easier to keep a wheel rolling than to get it started down its roll. It's easier along the lines of considering something that's already been done, and then now we're just going and continuing with that motion. If we set a timer and commit to a short burst of work, by the way, if we're doing something that requires our immediate attention, working intensely for, say, 25 minutes, that'll make it a lot easier to start. And previously in another video cast, we discussed the Pomodoro technique, which is essentially this, right? You set little chunks of time and you stick to that. Now, creating rituals or routines are something that we've talked about before. This, by the way, signals our brain that it's time to start working. And this could be something like making a cup of tea or organizing our workspace or doing a quick stretch if in fact, we've not necessarily been motivated along the lines of doing some sort of physical exercise. So if you think about this, getting things started can basically, stretch out to any area that we're talking about. Visualizing success and benefits is another very important thing. There's much to be said about closing your eyes and visualizing yourself successfully completing a task. And focusing on the positive outcomes and benefits is something that will help us along the lines of experiencing success once those things get accomplished. Now, sometimes people benefit from writing a to-do list with clear steps. Clear-cut steps make it easier to get things started, having delineated a clear plan. Also, it's important that we minimize distractions. If we put away our phone, if we close unnecessary tabs or applications, and we create a focused, quiet space, that will be conducive for getting a job done. Now, it's also important that we announce our intention. Think about this. If you let somebody know what you're doing, that's going to make you accountable. And that accountability can push you to begin and follow through with whatever it is that you've set for yourself. Changing your environment is another very important thing. If you feel stuck, sometimes a change of scenery can help break inertia. And by the way, practicing self-compassion is a very important thing. As a psychiatrist, I oftentimes reinforce this with patients. It's critical that you be kind to yourself, that you understand that everybody faces challenges, and it's okay to start with small steps, but simply get things started. Now, it's critical that we connect with our why. Why is it that we're doing something? And reminding yourself why a task is important is really critical. Understanding the purpose behind what you're doing can reignite your motivation to get things started. And by the way, we are our worst critics. So silencing that inner critic and not dwelling on potential failures or negative self-talk. Others already do that to us, right? So we don't want to do that to ourselves. And acknowledging any fears or doubts, but choosing to move forward despite them is something that's incredibly liberating. And when people experience that, that is very refreshing. Sometimes it's not a bad idea to buddy up or find a support system. Now, what's that mean? Well, having somebody to share the experience can boost motivation. When we take a look at different endeavors, for example, scuba diving, you never go out there by yourself. At least you shouldn't. You always want to have a buddy with you. Well, a buddying up system can be very helpful and uplifting in providing additional motivation. When we focus on progress, not perfection, that allows us to take appropriate first steps. And those first steps are about progress, not achieving perfection. That can be refined as we go, but that's not necessarily going to be realistic from the very get go. It might be, but for the most part, it won't. And rewarding ourselves after starting something is important. Remember, when you have incentives, they can motivate you to get things going and get things continuing. And by the way, most important thing, gratitude and abundance are about remembering that taking the initial step is oftentimes the hardest part. Once you start and gain momentum, it becomes a lot easier to keep things going. And when we celebrate the fact that we've overcome inertia and acted, no matter how small the step, as I stated previously, that is a highly liberating moment, and one in which we realize that we're able to accomplish so much more than what we gave ourselves credit for. With that said, I thank you very much for joining us on the Gus Alva Perspective on this theme of moving past the inertia and getting things started. Thank you.